In Colombia, electoral authorities have made preliminary results public, declaring Senator Iván Cepeda as the winner of Sunday's primaries for the historic pact. The Venezuelan government denounced the government of Trinidad and Tobago for orchestrating a military provocation plan aimed at destabilizing the Caribbean in alliance with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. Hurricane Melissa remains a Category 4 storm as it moves through the Central Caribbean Sea, posing a serious threat to several of the region's island nations. Hello and welcome to From the South, from the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. My name is Pablo Micheliche. We begin with the news. In Colombia, electoral authorities have made preliminary results public, declaring Senator Iván Cepeda as the winner of Sunday's primaries for the historic pact. With 64.02% of the votes and a 34-point lead over Diana Corcho, who got over 29% of the votes, Senator Iván Cepeda Castro has emerged as the historic pact candidate for the 2026 general elections. The historic pact party is a coalition made up of the Democratic Role, the Patriotic Union, Colombia's Communist Party, and other political forces. Cepeda has vowed to continue to adhere to the austerity and ethical principles that have brought him here, and he invited the other candidates to join him in his effort to install a second progressive administration in Colombia, to make Colombia a global power force.
The historic pact is undoubtedly the largest, most powerful, and most influential political force in the country today. Not only because of this quantitative electoral demonstration, but fundamentally because it has made a commitment to democracy. We have shown that we are an essentially democratic force, that we do not fear democracy, and that we have measured ourselves at the polls with the citizens.
In this context, after the results of the coalition's primaries were revealed, Colombian President Gustavo Petro took to his socials to comment on the outcome. Through a post on his X account, the head of state highlighted that democracy prevails and must be obeyed, adding that the people have freely chosen and now it is up to Colombian society to decide whether to move forward or backwards. In Argentina, the ruling Liberty Advances of President Milei obtains a majority of votes at the legislative midterm election over the opposition center-left Peronist forces. With a 68% turnout and important victories in provinces such as Córdoba, City of Buenos Aires, and even Province of Buenos Aires, this won by 1 percentage point. The Libertarians obtained 40.8% of votes at national level, while Peronist forces grouped in different alliances obtained 34.8%. With these results, the far-right Libertarians increased their participation in both chambers of Congress. Although neither party will have an absolute majority, the ruling party reaches a third in deputies, enough to block opposition bills and back presidential decrees. The Brazilian government stated that between January and August of this year, soybean exports to China reached a value of 77 million metric tons amid the tariff war imposed by the United States. Experts point out that since the start of the tariff war declared on several countries by the Trump administration, the trade in grains and legumes between Brazil and the Asian giant has experienced a notable increase. Livio Ribeiro, associate researcher at the IVRE Study Center of the Getulio Vargas Foundation and the University of Rio de Janeiro, states that at this time of year, Brazilian soybeans become one of the main items of trade between the two countries. Cooperation between the two countries in the face of U.S. sanctions demonstrates their willingness to develop ties independent of the United States hegemony.
Estados Unidos por conta de preço.
China won't buy from the United States due to the price. Since it's more expensive there, this tariff barrier opens an opportunity for us here. So we must be very attentive to these moments. We should try to make future sales for the delivery of the next harvest, taking advantage of these moments when we have a good price. Unfortunately, today we are in a situation where the price has not yet reached this result for us, producers, but it should arrive at any moment.
Certo? Mas ele deve chegar a qualquer momento. E a China não vai comprar.
Now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news update, and much more. We will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Venezuela denounced the government of Trinidad and Tobago for orchestrating a military provocation plan aimed at destabilizing the Caribbean in an alliance with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. The strategy, as outlined in the executive report, appears to be a deliberate attempt to create a justification for military aggression against Venezuela. This would represent a blatant violation of the Caribbean people's sovereignty and peace. In this context, the Venezuelan authorities urged the international community to maintain a firm stance against the interventionist actions of the United States against the countries of the region, which, under the excuse of combating drug trafficking, have attacked fishing boats from various Caribbean countries. The denunciation emphasizes Venezuela's willingness to defend its territorial integrity and its right to self-determination in the face of a new U.S. interventionist maneuver. In Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley denounced the rising threat of the United States military deployment in the Caribbean region. Our correspondent Krista Hoyte has the details.
USS Gravely at Trinidad and Tobago's port this morning has heightened concerns across the Caribbean, with Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley warning against what she called menacing military vessels in regional waters. Speaking at the Barbados Labour Party's 86th annual conference on Saturday night, Prime Minister Mottley called for urgent dialogue to prevent the situation from escalating into conflict.
If ever we needed a reminder of how unstable and how dangerous this world that we live in is, and how vulnerable our Caribbean region is, it is now with us, facing a multiplicity of threats. We don't need to look any further than the menacing vessels, military vessels from the United States across the Caribbean Sea, including what is reputed to be the world's largest warship. The violent actions that this buildup has led to needs to be the subject of dialogue. And I have said before, almost every war in the world in history has been ended by dialogue. So let us have dialogue to stop the war rather than to prevent the war from starting rather than to stop it when it has started.
The USS Gravely's deployment follows weeks of increasing U.S. naval movements in the region. Mottley cautioned against conflating law enforcement operations with military action, describing such steps as dangerous, and said no Caribbean nation should be subjected to unilateral use of force. Her remarks come as the region also faces another major threat, Hurricane Melissa, which is bearing down on the northern Caribbean. Mottley expressed solidarity with Jamaica and other nations in the storm's path, calling this moment a multiplicity of threats for small island states. Crystal Hoyt, teleSUR, Barbados.
Hurricane Melissa remains a Category 4 storm as it moves through the central Caribbean Sea, posing a threat to several of the region's island nations. In this regard, according to the latest report by the Cuban Institute of Meteorology, Melissa has a maximum sustained winds of 230 km per hour, with even higher gusts, while its central pressure has reportedly decreased. The eyes of the hurricane was located approximately 175 kilometers southwest of Kingston, Jamaica, and 425 kilometers southwest of Santiago de Cuba. It is forecast that in the next 24 hours, Melissa will continue its slow movement westward south of Jamaica and is expected to gradually tilt its trajectory north and northeast to approach Cuban territory on Tuesday through the seas south of its eastern region. And amidst the difficult situation facing eastern Cuba as Hurricane Melissa approaches, authorities are calling on people not to let their guard down. Our correspondent Jordani Rodriguez reports from Holguin Province.
The president of the Provincial Defense Council in Holguin, Joel Caico Ruiz, issued a call to the population in light of the imminent impact of Hurricane Melissa. All forecast models agree. Holguin will be hard hit from Tuesday night through Wednesday noon by a hurricane of great intensity.
We will be hit by all the effects of an event of this type, which involves heavy rain, strong winds, and high waves. Some of which will be of a magnitude never before seen in recent times, such as the estimate that more than 500 millimeters of water may fall. Therefore, we must prepare for these conditions.
Por lo tanto, hay que prepararse para esas condiciones.
Joel Caico Ruiz insisted that it is necessary to raise risk awareness. People cannot be allowed to remain near rivers, reservoirs, or coastal areas. It is essential to evacuate all people in danger now. What is not done today will be regretted tomorrow.
People are preparing and we are all paying close attention to all the news and all the media, and nothing. Cubans know how to deal with all these problems, and we are going to get through this. We will get through all of this without any problems. And there is no need to wait for more instructions. The instructions that have been given are for everyone to contribute and chop down all the trees around their homes and houses. What is being done in other countries has been followed. There is fear because the world says it is going to happen. Everyone says that it is very likely to happen. These days, well, everything has been prepared for the passage of Melissa, which is very strong. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to purchase gasoline for the power plants because we always use the plant to serve our neighbors as well. And I believe that we have to be prepared, not be confident, and most importantly, preserve human lives.
The rescue and salvage brigades of the Revolutionary Armed Forces in the Eastern Army are ready to deal with any emergency and support the population in the territories. Production processes at the Commander Ernesto Guevara nickel factory are being gradually shut down. The Commander Pedro Soto Alba joint venture is reducing its production capacity and participating in the clean-up of defense zones. The call to the population is clear. You will work long hours. You will save lives. Holguin faces a moment of ultimate danger, as does the entire East.
El camarógrafo Eide La Pera y Jordanis Rodríguez Laurencio, teleSUR, Holguin, Cuba.
And we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you will be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Andalusia, thousands of people are mobilizing to demand the resignation of the president of the regional government, Juan Manuel Moreno Bonilla, in a demonstration with the slogan, "Our lives cannot wait." Our colleague Lucia Muñoz reports from Andalusia.
Andalucía sale a las calles para exigir la dimisión del presidente.
Andalusia takes to the streets to demand the resignation of the president of the regional government, Juan Manuel Moreno Bonilla, of the Popular Party, following failures in the breast cancer screening system that have affected more than 2,400 women since 2021. Beatriz has breast cancer and denounces the lack of early detection protocols for young women, as these tests are only performed on women aged 50 and over.
A partir de los 50 años.
I always say that the sooner it is done, the better. Detection must be early. Screenings cannot be at age 50. We have to lower the age for early detection because that is the most important thing. It is equivalent to life. When a tumor is detected, we have a better chance of survival.
Katy, diagnosticada con un linfoma, ha viajado.
Katy, diagnosed with lymphoma, has traveled from Malaga to join the protest organized by AMAMA, the Association of Women with Breast Cancer, which in September revealed these cases of negligence. The organization attributes this situation to cuts and a lack of resources in Andalusian public healthcare under the Popular Party government.
Just like the rest of Spain, we deserve to have public healthcare and decent healthcare and healthcare that cares about us. They can't let us die. There are many people dying of cancer. In hospitals, I come from Malaga, and the cancer hospital in Malaga is not open. It is ready but not equipped.
La privatización de la sanidad
The privatization of Andalusian healthcare moves forward. More than 1 million people are on waiting lists, according to the Andalusian Health Service. The difficulty in getting an appointment in less than 48 hours has overwhelmed emergency rooms, according to the Andalusian White Tides.
We do not want public funds, which are not insignificant, to be allocated to private healthcare. We do not want our healthcare to be used for profit. Public healthcare is sacrosanct, and from here I would like to say to Mr. Moreno Benilla, who recently said that public healthcare is unviable, that the only thing unviable here is you, and your PP government, in the Andalusian regional government.
Del PP en la Junta de Andalucía.
Under the slogan Our Lives Cannot Wait, AMAMA asserts that there are more than the 2,400 recognized victims, and has filed complaints regarding failures in screening and the deletion of mammograms.
Lucía Muñoz Lucena y Sergio Rodrigo, TeleSUR, Andalucía, España.
In Jordan, the 14th group of patients from the Gaza Strip arrived on Sunday under the Jordanian Medical Corridor Initiative. This latest group includes 34 patients and 78 companions who will receive treatment in Jordanian hospitals before returning to Gaza once their care is complete. The initiative, launched in March, aims to support Palestinians and ease their humanitarian suffering. Since its launch, Jordan has received 266 patients for medical treatment. In February, King Abdullah II announced that Jordan was ready to receive up to 2,000 Palestinian patients from Gaza for treatment.
My leg was blown off. It happened while I was fleeing. My house was also destroyed in the war. Both of my houses are gone. 18 members of my family were killed, including my children and grandchildren. Only 2 of my granddaughters survived. One was hit in the head by shrapnel. She was gravely injured and lost her sight.
In Norway, citizens mobilized in support of the Palestinian people and demanded the cutting of ties with the Israeli occupation regime. From the Royal Palace in Oslo, protesters mobilized against the genocidal actions of the Israeli regime against the people of Palestine. Waving flags and singing, citizens also demanded that the government break diplomatic and commercial relations with the Israeli regime. It should be noted that since the latest upsurge of genocide in October 2023, Israel has killed more than 65,174 Palestinians, while at least 166,000 have been injured, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health. Despite multiple violations by Israel, the agreement organized by U.S. President Donald Trump remains in force in the Gaza Strip. But experts in Turkey have criticized everything from participation in the conference to the content of the agreement and its regional implications. Details from our correspondent in Istanbul, Yunus Oner.
Negotiations began when Israel failed to achieve its objectives, explains Alptek Endersenoglu, an expert from the resistance axis.
Since October 7th, Israel has had 3 objectives to free the hostages, destroy Hamas military infrastructure, and establish its order in Gaza. Despite 2 years of genocide and Western support, they have not achieved this. Now they are seeking to achieve it with this truce and the so-called Trump plan.
Kendi istediğimiz gibi bir düzen kuracağız.
The negotiation process, first in Washington and then in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, has a global context.
Çin, Rusya ve İran
With the start of the war in 2023, China, Russia, and Iran took the initiative. China was mediating between Palestinian groups and even expressed its support for Yemen. Iran itself fought Israel in the 12-day war. Now we see that the West and Israel are purposely excluding these powers from the negotiations. Therefore, we see that Trump's peace plan is entirely built on the framework of Atlantic plans.
12 gün savaşı sırasında doğrudan
The 20 points announced by Trump are, therefore, a plan to eliminate the Palestinian cause, argues Gökhan Gosman.
The root of the conflict lies in the two-state solution, that is, the establishment of a sovereign and independent Palestinian state. Nothing is said about a Palestinian state in this plan.
Gosman emphasizes that Jared Kushner, married to Trump's daughter, was one of the authors of the plan. Beyond Gaza, Kushner supports Israel's annexation of the West Bank and is investing there.
As a result, Trump's plan eliminates Palestinian actors, disarming Hamas and excluding it from any political process. Under the guise of the Peace Council, whose members will be appointed outside of Palestinian will, Mahmoud Abbas' administration will be given only the role of coordinating the Palestinian people within this council. The will of the Palestinian people will be ignored, leaving them without a state.
Experts have doubts about whether Hamas will lay down its arms, but they are certain that this so-called Pax Americana is only the precursor to new wars.
Israel may attack Lebanon. In recent days, tensions have increased very openly. They have just finished maneuvers on the border. For a ground operation that reaches the Litani River in Lebanon, they have to end the war in Gaza and move forces from there.
The expert also warns of possible Israeli attacks against the resistance in Iraq, or directly against Iran. Perinchek places Trump's agreement in a regional context.
We see that the United States is seeking to regain the regional initiative. It has launched the so-called Trump route in the South Caucasus and is seeking to redesign Syria. We are facing a plan by which the United States wants to reorder an entire geography. But we are in transition to a multipolar world, where the United States and Israel lack the power to carry out all their plans.
Experts consider that Trump's plan has many weak points, and agree that, for a Palestinian state, Eurasian influence will be key instead of this plan.
Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and you can also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, my name is Pablo Michelice. Thank you for watching.